Welcome to the Spirit Society of San Diego. We are so happy you are here today and praying and nourishing your soul. And before we start, we will read a message from the book Happy Life from the Spirit Joanna de Angelis, psychographic by Divaldo Franco. Make sure that pessimism and rebelliousness do not find shelter in your heart, numbing or frazzling your nerves. Reconsider unpleasant attitudes and events, taking heart and continuing on your journey in peace. Your spiritual state has everything to do with the outcome of your aspirations and actions. When you begin a task with antagonistic feelings or resistance, you have already lost. So bring the warmth of hope and optimism to all you do, and success will be inevitable. Hope and optimism. So let's elevate our thoughts to the Divine Creator. As we are here, feeling the presence of Jesus in our hearts, we ask the good spirits to help this morning to understand the messages that we are about to hear as we bless our speaker of today. So we will touch our hearts and our spirits and will change us. As every day is a new day to be a better person, to be a better me. And we couldn't do that without being grateful for all the blessings and everything we have in our lives. Because we want to say thank you. And feeling so peaceful, we ask them permission to start the meeting of our Spirit Society of San Diego. So be it. Thank you. Good morning, everyone. Welcome in this holiday weekend. So that's very nice to see the house full. I wasn't expecting that. I was like, oh, people are traveling, so that's great, because that's a choice, right? Instead of being all about and having fun, we're here. So which means that we want to grow, and which means that that's an act of self-love. That's how I see. So in taking care of our spirit, that's an act of self-love. So you should be proud of yourselves to be here today. So thank you. I want to share with you a message from the Gospel according to Spiritism by Allan Kardec. And that's a very intriguing message, I would say. And the title is Charity Towards Criminals. I forgot to put the mic. So that, I think that's the most intriguing message that Jesus came and taught us. He said, love one another, right? Forgiveness of all offenses. And if someone strikes on the right cheek, give the left. So at that time when he came to earth to teach us all those messages, people are like, this man is crazy. What does it mean? I mean, someone is going to offend me and I'm going to forgive. Forgive a criminal, forgive people that hurt myself or my loved ones, that doesn't make sense. So we're not going to make any justice. People just do whatever they want. And then we need to forgive. It's not that simple. What he taught us to do is like to see people beyond their actions. And we do that when we start teaching our kids, I guess, educating our kids, right? That's one thing that we learn. When we need to discipline a behavior, you don't discipline and say that, let's say a little child, right? Oh, you're a bad person. You never say that to a child. But you say what you did, you made a wrong choice, right? We love to say that. Let's make good choices, not bad choices. So Jesus looked at us as children. And in Spiritism, we learned to see Jesus not as Savior, but as our older brother. That's how I want to see Jesus, like my friend and my older brother. Not like, in a high heaven that is unreachable. No. Someone who came on earth and lived next to us, right? In Spiritism, we believe in reincarnation. So I believe that was there at the time, because I believe that I've been here on earth since beginning of the humankind. So I believe I was there. And so he came and lived next to us to give us an example. So the most important teachings by Jesus, and we know that he did not write anything. His books, it was like a live book. His teachings was his own life on earth. And then the disciples, right, the ones who were living with him, they were the ones who wrote all the stories, all his experiences, and what they lived with Jesus, right? The experience that they had next to Jesus. So he never wrote anything. Why? Because he wants to show us that's possible to live according to his teachings. So what is the most important teaching of Jesus is love one another, right? And treat others the way that you'd like to be treated. Doing to others what you'd like to be done towards you. So what does that mean with this message, right? Charity towards criminals. So again, in Spiritism, we believe in reincarnation, and we believe we're here to grow. In each reincarnation, we're better, because that's the law of evolution. We learned here from the Spirit's book, and I'm going to quote a couple of questions from the Spirit's book as well. That's our guide. Like for Spiritism, that's our first book that we start learning from. It's kind of, it does an outlook for all the other books from Allan Kardec, and one of those is the Gospel. So, so he came to us and said that love one another, because we don't know exactly what we did in the past, right? If we're still on earth, means we're not perfect. And I would say at this time in this planet, we're beyond, like far beyond being perfect. We are very far away of the perfection. And the perfection that we learned is Jesus, right? So Jesus came to show us what is the way that we're supposed to act to be perfect or to be happy. So he's our model, I would say, our example, the ones that we should aim for, right? And again, the main teaching that he taught us was like love one another, forgiveness. So if you think about criminals, right, you know, hear so much nowadays, you know, shootings at schools. We learned about killings and robberies, and now in California, unfortunately, we've seen so many cases now of violence that we did not have years before or years ago. So it's like, how am I going to forgive someone who kills their family, kills their husband or wife or kids, right? For us, it's like really shocking. But Jesus would forgive. You know why? Because when he looks at us and everybody else, because for him everybody's equal, like he taught us another teaching, is like we're all children of God. We're all created equal. So when he looks at us, he sees everybody the same. He sees us, okay, so I don't kill anybody anymore, but I don't know what I did in the past. And there are still people, like children, who is making bad choices, right? So how do I deal with that in our everyday lives? Again, our model is Jesus. So Jesus would look at this person and see beyond that. And see what? See the perfection to be. Seeing that, like we look at a little child who's making bad choices, it's like, okay, but he's going or she's going to learn. And most of us still needs to learn through experience, like children. Children need to learn through experience, otherwise they're not going to learn how to walk, how to speak, how to go to school. So in different levels, right? Little children start walking and then start eating, so needs all the digestive system needs to develop. So it needs to start with, like, you know, breast milk and then solid food and all that. The same with us. So thank goodness that we already passed through that. We're not criminals anymore, not in the sense of killing people or hurting people or robbing people. But a lot of people still need that. And why, again, so why should we have charity or have compassion or have mercy towards the criminals? Because we probably did the same or similar or something like that in our past lives. And we learned, and someone helped us, for sure. Because we all need help, in a sense, and another. And that's how we are here today. Because we received help, we received mercy. We received mercy from God. We received forgiveness, otherwise we would not be here in this planet right now. Because we don't believe in heaven and hell, but we do believe that we need to go through whatever we did. Like every action, there is a reaction. So God's law or God's justice is a little different from our justice here on earth. It's not made by punishment. It's made by redo your own actions, right? So for example, I spilled water here on the floor. I'm just gonna, oh my goodness, I did not know that was, you know, that was not on purpose. So I'm just gonna leave there. It's like, no, I did not do on purpose or whatever, you know, the water is gonna dry by itself. No, I would wipe that, right? Because I don't want anybody to trip on the water, and that's not nice anyway. So was not my intention to drop the water, but I did, so I need to clean up my mess. So basically, we all need to clean up our mess that we did in the past. It can be a big mess, right? I can spill lots of food on the floor and like, oh my goodness, I have to clean all this room, or just a little water. So we're in different levels because we made different choices. So some children, they start walking faster. Some children, take a long time. I had 2 boys, and one started walking when he was 13 months old, and the other one started walking when he was 9 months old. So they have a different development, and we all have different development. And you know what? That's our choice. Sometimes we don't think that, but it is our choice. So like the message that Bernadette read, hope, optimism, and belief, and faith. So have the faith in ourselves and believe in ourselves that we can do it, that we can make it. That's what make the difference, right? So a little child that starts walking, it takes a lot of confidence. Can you imagine? If you can, we don't think now that we're adults, but think about a little one. They know they're going to fall. There is no way they're not going to go to fall if they start walking. So it needs confidence to start walking. The same with us. We need to have confidence. We need to have strength. And also we need to trust. And always there is someone that we can trust, right? So a little child, normally there is an adult hand holder, like, okay, I'll hold your hands and try little steps. And we have Jesus holding our hands and say, take little steps. You can do it. You can grow. You can pass through that. Does Jesus judge us for our bad choices? I don't think so. He understands. He has mercy. He has compassion. And he gives us a hand and say, okay, let's do it together. I'll help you. Like, I don't know if you remember, there was another passage, again, the apostles wrote in the gospel about the woman who was found in a position that was with another man, right? She was married and she was found with another man. And at that time, what they would do, so they would not do anything to the man, but the woman would take in front of lots of people, like in public, and they would cast stones to the woman, I guess, until the woman die. So there was a passage that happened there with the woman, and then Jesus was there, and they came to Jesus, right, to try to see what he would answer. They said, so, Lord, we found this woman. She was caught with another man, and she's a married woman. So what would you do? You know what Jesus answered? He said, cast the first stone who here never made a mistake before. That was his answer. So what was his teachings at that time? It's like to make the people who are there to use their own consciousness and think, did I ever make a mistake? And what happened? Did I receive forgiveness for that? Or did people cast stones on me? So people start living, right? That's what they start said, one by one. Start living. And the woman was left alone with Jesus because nobody had the courage or dared to cast her stone, because everybody there had some bad choices in their lives before.
You know that Jesus actually the time he got something, I think a piece of wood, and wrote in front of each person what their things were, like, you know.
Whatever they did.
Yeah, whatever their sins at the time were. So
whatever their bad choices,
it's
right?
like, oh, if I do it, he's gonna
Uh-huh.
tell he knows.
Yes, because he knows, right? He knows us as, since we were created. I believe that. He knows us very well. So everybody left. And there was the woman there with Jesus. And then what did he say? What did he tell her? He's like, nobody judged you or nobody persecuted you. I'm not going to do that. Just go and sin no more, which means just go and don't do that again. Do better choices, right? Take a better path. That's what Jesus do to us every day. Because I believe we make poor choices every day. It can be a thought, it can be a word, or it can be something bigger. I don't know. We know because, we have our own consciousness. We know what we do. So if it's Jesus, who is the most perfect person that ever been on this planet, never judge anybody. He did not judge that woman and never judge anybody. So who we think we are to have the right to judge others, right? Okay, so there is justice on earth, yes. And why? Because we need to live in society. So in society, we need to have rules, otherwise people go crazy, like at schools, for example. I work with kindergarten kids, and it's so funny because every little thing we have to have a rule. Otherwise, because they're little kids and they're just learning how to behave. So they need to learn how to behave in a classroom with 25 other kids. They need to learn how to behave, with their friends. They need to learn how to share. They need to learn to wait for their turn. They need to learn to be kind to their friends. So you can imagine if we did not have rules in our society. If we did not have traffic rules or, traffic laws, would be a whole mess. So we need those laws for now because we still are imperfect. And we still need reminds about those teachings like every day, because by ourselves we won't do that. We still need law enforcement, which is okay. We will not need in the future when our planet becomes a better place, and we are in the transition phase right now, but we still are in a point that we do need laws. So again, our law works with punishment because we need that. Otherwise, it would not work. But we do need to take people who hurt people from the society to put in a different place, because those people cannot control themselves and they would hurt people again. It doesn't mean that we need to persecute those people. Do you understand? It's like, that's what Jesus, he does to us. Sometimes we are put in places and we kind of have that restraint that we cannot do whatever we want because we're still not mature. It's like if we put a child in a car seat inside a car. Yeah, they are restrained, right? Why? Because little children don't have the maturity yet to sit down in a car and just be quiet and not move, or for safety reasons. Jesus does that to us as well. For safety reasons, sometimes we need to be in certain situations that we cannot act as freedom as we would like to do. And we need to do this in society as well. Some people cannot have the same freedom that we have right now. It's like if you have a little children who is 10 years old, you're not going to, okay, you can drive. or drink alcohol, right? We have a law here in this country that under 21, you're not supposed to drink alcohol. Why? There is a reason for that, because our brain is still developing until we're 25 years old. And actually, if you think about that, we should not drink or use any type of drug before 25, because it will affect our brain. And that's true. And teenagers, do they care about that? Do they think about that? Most of them don't. That's why they have parents, they have guides, they have police to enforce that you're not supposed to drink before you're 21, at least. Because they don't have this sense of danger, right? And some people don't have that. Some criminals don't have the sense of danger. And they don't know what they're doing. And Jesus sees that. He doesn't see us as bad spirits or bad people or bad, They see us doing or making poor choices. But we're going to stop making poor choices at some point. But we need help. That's why he came to earth. And that's why we have all those resources. And behind Jesus, there is like billions of other spirits who are in a higher level than we are. I like to say that like soldiers of Jesus, right? I like to see it that way. And it's like Jesus has a whole army, right? But army of the peace, of the good. And this army is here to help us to grow, to help us to make better choices. Like if again, Jesus look at us as little babies. And we do need support. We cannot do that by ourselves. We cannot walk if we don't have strong hand holding ours. And we need to look at the other people that are make poorer choices than we are right now as little children as well. It doesn't mean that we're going to agree with our bad choices. Jesus never said that he's agree, oh, that's okay, you can do whatever you want. No. That's why we have God's laws. And here I invite you to, if you never read the Spirit's book, at the end that are like the divine laws. And those are the laws that will never change. Law of justice and charity, love of God, law of love, law of work, love of growth, or I forgot the word, but progress, law of progress. So it's all here. Those laws will never change. And also the law of consequences. And we like to do that, to teach that to kids too, right? If you make a poor choice, you're going to have a consequence, a bad consequence. If you make a good choice, you're going to have a good consequence. The same with us. That's a law. So sometimes we think that, and I like to tell this to my kids, if you think that you're doing something that nobody's watching you, Jesus is watching you. So don't think that you're doing anything that, hiding because there is like nobody's watching us. That's not true. God, who's inside our own consciousness, is watching what we're doing. And all Jesus' army plus Jesus is watching what we're doing. So anything that we do, and again, that's a law. It's not punishment. But this is a law of progress. We need to deal with the consequences of our own actions. So the criminals, they're going to have to deal with their own actions as well. And that's when we step back and it's like, I'm not going to play God because that's not my role here. My role is taking care of myself to make sure that I don't make the bad choices that I've made in the past. So I think that's very relief if you think that I don't want to play God. If this person made this choice, and I'm not responsible for this person, and by the way, I'm not responsible for anybody, because everybody make their own choices. Even little kids, they have a limitation, of course, but when they grow, they're going to make their own choices, and we're not responsible for anybody's choice. We're not responsible for anybody's choice. We're not responsible for anybody's feelings. We're not responsible for anybody's thoughts. We're just responsible for ourselves. So we're not responsible for the criminals, and we're not judges. It's not our place to judge anybody. Our place is to understand as Jesus understands us. Is to have mercy as Jesus has mercy towards us. And to help if you can. And in this message, and that's a beautiful message if you're curious to go and read, is Charity Towards Criminals from chapter 11 and number 14. And at the end here, what she says, we can help them out just praying for them, because we might touch their hearts. So that's, we're not gonna, of course we can go to jail and, visit those people. We can send, books, or we can do different things for people, I would say, who are in jail, right? We can do that to help. But the first thing that's so simple that we can do, just pray for the criminals. And I would say pray for the governors of our planet, each all of them, because we love to criticize whatever, they're responsible to run our countries and our states and all that. But do we ever think about praying for them to make better choices? Because we want to help. And when we just see whatever mistakes people make, we don't help. It's the opposite. We're putting our energy in the negative instead of being optimistic, like the message that Bernadette read. So our invitation here today is, instead of judging, instead of persecuting, instead of putting the energy of the negative, let's do the opposite. Let's see the goodness that Jesus sees on us. Let's see how we can help, even praying, because we all want a better planet to live. And we want everybody to make good choices, because everybody who is here on earth needs to make good choices so we become a better planet. And I just to finish, I want to invite you also to read from the Spirit's book, 3 questions that talks about the law of justice. That's question 876, 886, and 887. I'm not going to read here because we're out of time, but again, 876, 886, and 887 that talks about justice and teachings of Jesus. All right, thank you so much.